15th and 18th at the Warren.
Tom Cruise is to Mission Impossible
like Bill Paxton is to Twister.
There you go.
A piece of me?
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, Bunk?
Good morning, Vietnam! I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
You do! You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
There's no crying in baseball! This is wrong, bitch. Hey, the Schwartz be with you.
I am the father.
Get you, my pretty.
Take your stinking paws off me.
May the force be with you.
Here's Johnny.
What up? Happy Tippy Top Tuesday, movie fans. Welcome to episode 351. Welcome to your mission if you choose to accept it. I am here with the fellas on a brand new episode.
Look at that IMAX poster
of the Cine-Men movie podcast. How's everybody doing today?
Everybody's great. Who's this mystery person? This is kind of
holy hell.
Who is this?
He chose to accept the mission, and he accepted the mission.
Well, welcome, mission acceptor. How are you?
What's up? Oh, can you guys not hear me? No.
We can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just need to be more enthusiastic if you enjoyed the movie.
Hey, you know what? In our showing, there was like 3 people today.
Actually, I counted 8.
So, hope everybody had a good week. Lions and tigers and bears, airplanes and tornadoes. Oh my! What a Tuesday!
Oh yeah. And some of the places around us are flooding, like super flooding.
But you know what? It wouldn't be the first episode of June without some tornado sirens, without a little bit of thunder. And speaking of thunder,
yep, let's do it.
They did, and they accepted their mission, and now they're on and in the World Championship game. I just wish there wasn't 7 of them, if necessary. I wish they could just play 1 and be done.
They have to win 4 to win.
It's going
football's the
5
only
games
sport.
Maybe.
Isn't football the only sport that is a sudden death game? Basically, we're one and done. All the other sports have like round robin and like tournament games in order to provide a winner.
Correct.
Okay,
yeah.
That's what I thought.
Just because it's the most grueling on your body.
Okay, I got you.
Can't wait to see what happens Thursday for game 1. But as far as movies go, guys, how has everybody's week been?
Oh, bro.
Full of movies, Zach?
Oh.
I'm not on Jay's level, but yeah, I got a couple to talk about. So.
Yeah, you'll never be.
Zach, you got the weather behind you. Craig, you got a $5 million mansion behind you.
It's pretty nice. I played the piano earlier, so my hands are a little
ready to go.
I'm sure you play the piano. Yep.
You got those working fingers.
Yeah.
So it's been a fun week. Last week, Zach, I don't even remember what we talked about last week. What did we talk about last week?
U571.
That's how
forgettable that movie was.
Yeah.
We covered Matthew McConaughey and our Memorial Day conversation. And before we go any further, Juan, you posted, you were proud of it. We done huge numbers last week on our episode for Memorial Day for U571, and we'd like to thank the fans out there all over the world, and we do mean that specifically all over the world because you guys are all over the world.
One thing that
Thank you.
one thing that's kind of fun is that all the different stuff we do get to talk about, and we talked about, just Memorial Day in general last week, so go back and listen to that episode. But I think we should kick off this episode and talk about some recent watches. Craig, we haven't seen you in a minute. Other than it's been a minute, it's been a while. It's a good song. How have you been? What's some of the stuff you've kind of been keeping up with? Any video games?
Just the usuals. Football, basketball, Marvel Rivals, kind of like a team-based concept game.
Is that on Android and iPhone?
No, it's on console and PC.
Okay, okay, I'm thinking of a different Marvel game then.
Yeah, I don't know the exact name of that one on the phone, but yeah, just doing some of that. I've been working. Finally, was able to get a job back in March after I got laid off in December. So just kind of doing that, hanging out, watching TV, watching movies. Watched Andor, pretty good season. Went back and watched episode 8 for whatever reason. I must have had a stroke or something. I don't know.
We were just talking about that.
A couple of weeks ago, we talked about episode 3, and episode 8 came up quite a bit actually in that episode.
It's not as bad as I remember.
It is as bad as I remember.
It's bad, but it's not as bad. So. But yeah, Mission Impossible, obviously. Went and saw Lilo and Stitch live action.
What'd you think?
I prefer the original. It's good, but growing up as a kid, Lilo and Stitch, just the cartoon hits a little bit different for me. So I'm sure the live action will hit different for the kids now, but yeah.
We can be so. Let's kind of debate because it's been a minute since we debated on this show. Can you? So you agree with me? Maybe I'm kind of like baffled on why people are like, "Oh, this is the best live action remake that they've ever done," when it's almost frame by frame the exact same movie. But like they did that with The Lion King, and people hated on The Lion King.
May I answer first?
And I'm like, I really enjoyed The Lion King, and it's just like, what happened?
Go ahead, Jay.
I can kind of give you an answer on both of those questions. The main complaint that I seen from The Lion King, they weren't really upset with how frame by frame it was. What they were upset was with, they understood it was going to be with real animals, but they expected more of an expressive animal. Does that make sense? And the voice actors, some people had problems with the voice acting because we were all raised with, Jonathan Taylor Thomas, Matthew Broderick, and all them as, Simba. And, we had our own takes on Timon and Pumbaa. And whenever we got the new cast, we kind of, we had a hard time adjusting to that. And then when it came to Lilo and Stitch, did it keep the same basis? Yes. Did it cut a lot of things out? Yes. But was it still the same movie in a general sense? No.
Yeah, there was a few things changed, like the whole basis of why she had to leave her and everything, or the end result of why she left her. But I agree with Jay. Lilo and Stitch. Can you name me the voice actors for Lilo and Stitch?
Yes, I can.
The actual voice actors.
Yes, I can.
From the original one?
Tia Carrere was Nana. Jason Lee Scott was what's his name? Danny. I can't remember the little. She played the little girl from The Ring, the one that crawls through the TV in the Americanized version. Dakota or Defana Lee or something like that. And Chris Sanderson's played Stitch in both movies.
Oh. Jay wins.
Well, one of a million.
He comes.
You could ask pretty much anybody on the street to name you at least one Lion King voice actor, and they could name you one. I mean, the iconic James Earl Jones, Jonathan Taylor Thomas,
Jeremy Irons.
the list goes on and on. For
you can't sit there and replace Danny Glover's son, Donald Glover, with Jeremy Irons. Jeremy Irons was iconic. Danny Glover, come on now.
I love the original. Don't get me wrong, but with the remake, at least we have Seth Rogen.
No, here's where Seth Rogen to me is an okay. What did he play a Timon?
Pumbaa.
He played Pumbaa. Nathan Lane, no, nothing compares to Nathan Lane and the other guy. I can't remember his name, but no, nothing compares to those two.
I just think The Lion King was so perfect as an animated film. There was really no need for it to have any sort of adaptation because it was perfect in its own right. Lilo and Stitch was a good film, but there wasn't anything I mean, yes, there's some things iconic about it, but not to the extent of what Lion King was to a generation.
See, here's the difference between me and the three of you guys. Whenever I seen the original Lion King in theaters, at the original animated 1994 feature film, I was 12 years old. When the original Lilo and Stitch came out, I was 20.
Yeah, big difference.
And you guys were kids when Lilo and Stitch came out, and babies when the Lion King came out. So I got to experience it in a completely different manner than you guys did.
Yeah.
Craig, what else other than Lilo and Stitch did you go get? Anything else you check out in the theater?
Man, I've seen quite a bit. Give me a second. Let me pull up my stubs. Mission Impossible, Lilo and Stitch. Let's just go with the past year. Thunderbolts, Minecraft movie. Watched plenty of stuff here at home as well.
I thoroughly enjoyed Minecraft.
I got too drunk at the Warren. They kept giving me doubles, and I got too drunk, and I blacked out. Don't remember Minecraft.
Minecraft was surprisingly pleasant. I was not looking forward to it. I strictly took Adley just to go take her because she was interested in it. Jack Black was essentially a mix of Nacho Libre and School of Rock Jack Black.
Exactly.
It was a home run casting. They did a perfect job for him. Or for the movie.
And a special note, real quick. This was Juan's son's very first movie, and he did excellent while watching the movie.
He did throw some popcorn though during the chicken jockey scene,
as we all did.
Who didn't? He was just following the trend. He knew what was up.
What about Thunderbolts? We talked Thunderbolts a few weeks ago. I know you sent me a message that it felt right.
Yeah, you're going through all these superhero movies, and they all kind of have the same gist, the same, lineage of script. And the Thunderbolts just felt more connecting to the average person. It felt like it had a little bit more of a real world vibe to it, real world issues. And so watching it got a little bit emotional, just because that people are out there dealing with such, obviously I'm not going to say exaggerated, but it's stretched a little bit for cinema. But there are people dealing with that exact same issue. And so I think for them to kind of almost be brave enough to put a real world issue in a movie of that caliber for Marvel.
It's a Marvel movie that deals with PTSD of their super villain at the time, villains that now become anti-heroes.
Yeah. It was just refreshing. It was refreshing. It was fun. I don't know if it's my favorite Marvel movie, but it's in a class of its own amongst Marvel movies. I'll put it that way.
I would say it's one of the higher ranks of the Phase 5 movies. It's the highest rank, besides Deadpool and Wolverine.
I'm going to rapid fire go through mine super quick. I finished The Sopranos. I went through and checked out Prom Night, Season 1 of The Last of Us, Bloodsport, Karate Kid, the old one, Final Destination Bloodlines. Highly recommend it. And it's made me want to go through and just go through the franchise. So I've been through 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I checked out Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning. Oh, and I watched the first part of Pee-wee as himself.
Documentary.
It's a documentary. Yeah, the first half is an hour and a half. Second part is an hour and 40 minutes. So
and that's on Max, right?
Yeah,
is that recommended?
Highly recommended. But if I recommend anything, go binge watch The Sopranos.
What'd you think of The Last of Us?
I thought it was okay. I kind of talked to you earlier about it. I feel like it was really, really slow coming from somebody who's only played the video game for like the first hour and a half. I'm like, I see why it's good. Like, it's good to me, but I just wouldn't put it in that top tier of greatness.
I've played the entire game, and I felt the exact opposite, that they went too fast.
Well, I'm not comparing like the speed of the video game. I'm just comparing to like the speed of just a show in
normal
general.
series.
Yeah.
Correct. You watched all of season 1, right?
I watched all of season 1. Thoroughly
Have you seen
enjoyed it.
season 2
I
yet?
haven't seen any of season 2.
Neither have I.
To be
You heard a lot,
honest,
though. Yeah.
to be honest, it
Did they already
doesn't
spoil
do anything for me. I kind of have an idea of what's going to happen. None of it really intrigues me anymore. Season 1 kind of,
It's
I'm not going to
season
say
one is a
dive bombed.
Season 1 is a good individual season, and you really could end it on that.
Yeah,
Yes.
from what I've heard, I don't really want to leave it a bad taste in my mouth with the series.
I've played the second game. I have not seen the second season, but playing the second game and hearing the decisive, the 50-50 kind of cross, this and that. I'm in the portion that, like, where did you expect it to go?
Yeah.
I'm in that portion of people. Like, where did you expect it to go?
I agree with you on that. Like, I kind of understand what the second game's about, and that's why I'm kind of like, I don't really care to go down that route. Because even the second game,
a lot of people had problems with Ellie being gay. I'm like, did you not play the first game? Ellie pretty much states in the Left Behind series that she's in love with her best friend, and you guys are upset with that? Come on now, stop being so damn childish. But
I do want to. I forgot one movie that I watched. It was on Peacock. It's called Parallel. I guess you would consider it a B movie, low budget, no actors that anybody's really ever heard of. It's about a group of friends living in a house that find a mirror to alternate dimensions. I enjoyed the watch, even though it was obviously low budget. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was a good concept, and it was a fun watch.
Is there any big name people in that?
Zero. Me. They could put me on the list, and they'd be like, "Oh, that's the same guy." Yeah.
Nice. And it's on Peacock?
Peacock.
Nice. I have to check it out. I skimmed through mine. Like I said, if I recommend
I'll go quickly
anything,
through mine as well.
Sopranos. Jay, go ahead and go through yours.
I done something the other day that I haven't done since I was about 16 or 17 years old. I have a Regal Movie Unlimited Pass, which most of us all do have that Regal Unlimited Pass. But that day, Sunday, I used it to the ultimate potential, and I seen 5 movies that day. I started the day off with Juan and his girlfriend, and we started the day off with Final Destination Bloodline. I highly enjoyed it, but it still felt like all the other Final Destinations. I don't know why it's getting the highest praise that it has. It just felt like another Final Destination movie to me. My favorite's still, number 1 and number 5. And then after that, I seen Lilo and Stitch. We've already talked about Lilo and Stitch and some of the stuff that we agree and disagree with. I seen the new Karate Kid movie on the big grand screen that they have at the Warren, and this is my second time seeing it. I seen it bootleg first time, and then I seen it second time on the grand auditorium screen. And if you've seen one Karate Kid, you've seen this one. But the fights are very good. They're short, but they mean something, because the action, unlike the original Karate Kid, where a lot of it was block, this is more of an aggressive kung fu / karate style mixture. It's more. You know how Jackie Chan will use everything. Like if he's in an alley, there's a trash can, there's a ladder. There's a box on the ground. Jackie Chan will use it, and there's a where they
so he's a dirty fighter.
Well, I'm not going to say a dirty fighter.
Nope,
bro. No, bro. There's
dirty fighter. Fighter.
He doesn't hit nobody in the nuts. That's
not
that's considered
the
dirty
old
fighting.
dick twist.
Oh yeah, but see, there's even a reference to Jackie Chan and his Legend of Drunken Master movie in this movie. Like Jackie Chan does a couple moves that you're like, holy shit, or holy hell, that was from Legend of Drunken Master. If you know Jackie Chan's filmography. Afterwards, I went and seen Bring Her Back. I went completely blind into that. I'm not going to give too much away, but I
Please
recommend
don't.
it.
Please don't.
I highly recommend it. It is very visceral. It's very raw, and it is very WTF. And I'm not going to sit there and say it's a highly complex storyline because I figured out what was going on pretty early into the film. But once you figure it out, if you figure it out, it makes the film even better, if that makes sense. And
and who produced that movie?
You know who produced it, Mr. Mark, for them? Who produced it? Come on,
Was that an A24 movie?
It was. It was an A24 movie. I even told you about a trailer they showed for an upcoming kids A24 movie where a girl she has.
No! Don't tell me. I don't want to go into any trailers.
Okay, never mind. But it looks very interesting and it is very promising. And it looks like a movie, and it looks like to be one of the first movies that A24 produced for children. And then the final movie I rounded out my night with was The Last Rodeo. You might ask, it's very cliche, very formulaic, but it was executed beautifully. It's about a rodeo guy that used to be in the rodeo. He's an older man now. He has a grandson. His grandson gets cancer, and in order to pay for the treatment for the cancer, he has to join the rodeo circuit again. And it, like I said, cliche and the normal formulaic things, but it is done so well. And it was my favorite movie of the 5 movies I've seen over that same day.
Wow. Yeah,
The Last Rodeo. It has I can't remember the guy's name, but he played M. Bison in the Street Fighter movie, The Legend of Chun-Li. And then it has the guy that played Bubba in Forrest Gump as his best friend.
He had the guy that was
Malachi Williams or something like that.
Yeah, also played in Minority Report.
Yes.
Mm.
And it was very good.
That studio.
It was filmed here in Oklahoma and Texas.
Yeah.
It's from the same studio that did Sound of Freedom.
Yeah, Angel Studios.
Yeah. Yep. Was it preachy? Considering
weirdly or not, there was a couple. There were some questionable things in the movie, like curse words that were like. I thought this was a Christian movie, but things they didn't get preachy. It was just a basic. It was just
heartfelt
a basic.
Story.
Yes, basic heartfelt grandfather trying to save his grandson's story.
I don't think
the setting just happened to be a rodeo.
I don't think that studio is out to shove any sort of narrative down anybody's throat, as somebody might call it. I think they are just out to put out some wholesome, inspirational telling.
I'll disagree with you there, because when I was in the theater, the same studio was trying to advertise during the trailers movies about Jesus Christ and different Christianity historic events.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that they're not shoving it down your throat, though. It's a movie that you can go see, but in a movie that you're not expecting to see that in, they're not doing that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I watched, since I found out they're doing the revival of King of the Hill on August 4th on Hulu, I started King of the Hill. I'm in season 2, and I started Bob's Burgers, and I'm kind of alternating between the two.
Oh, what's his name passed away from King of the Hill?
John Redcorn passed away just yesterday with an argument with his neighbor, and the neighbor killed him because he was gay, which is very sad.
I didn't even know all that detail.
Yes, it just came out about an hour ago that the neighbor killed him because he was hated him because he was gay.
Zach, what about you? If you want to run through yours.
This got real.
Nothing, not a damn thing. No.
Come on, you see some stuff.
No, I did go see Bring Her Back. I think it's from the same. I was telling Johnny about this. It's from the same directors as Talk to Me. I thought Talk to Me had a better concept, but I like the story more of Bring Her Back. And I agree with you, Jay. We can't really talk about it without giving it away. But I thought it was really well done. It was shot beautifully. I thought the performances were awesome. It might be one of my favorite movies of the year so far. I liked it that much.
Did they bring her back?
In my opinion, the blind girl annoyed the hell out of me during certain scenes.
Well, that'll be an awesome conversation if we do that for Halloween this year.
When it comes out on digital or Blu-ray, let's do it. Bring her back. Let's discuss it. Let's argue this points out.
She was with us a few seasons ago. I might bring her back.
And then I rewatched the Jack Reacher Tom Cruise movies, I guess because we're talking about Mission Impossible. The first one is still a pretty solid film. The second one is just a generic action movie.
Here's the
And
thing, I
then
don't remember either of them.
and then to preview next week, Dazed and Confused. So we'll talk about that next week.
Nice. Today, let's get into the meat and potatoes of what we're talking about. Today, we're talking about Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, with a May 23rd, 2025 release date. IMDb has it at 7.5, Rotten Tomatoes at 80%, the Metascore is at 67%, the Letterboxd is a 3.6 out of 5, with a $300 million budget. So far, it's only grossed a little over $357 million at the box office. Our lives are the sum of our choices. Tom Cruise is Ethan Hunt, and the mission is The Final Reckoning. Cast and crew, Zach?
Yeah, we got, of course, Mr. Tom Cruise, Haley Atwell, Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, Henry Czerny, Angela Bassett, Esai Morales, Nick Offerman, Shea Wingham, and Palm Clementif. Directed by Christopher McQuarrie.
Before we go any further into this conversation, Juan, can I ask you what you posted about an hour ago about a certain spy and Ethan Hunt? What did you say? Let's get this conversation started off right. Come on, I'm putting you on the spot. Let's do it. Come on.
I did Ethan Hunt is greater than James Bond. After
you know what? I agree with you.
After walking out of this movie, I feel like he is not only our like Americanized version of James Bond, but I feel like his movies and just him as a character overall, even as an action hero, I would say, Ethan Hunt has missioned his way into all of our hearts. I don't know about you guys, but we'll go round table. When the movie was over, I think we've all seen it just once. Name one word, just one word that fits perfect with the ending of this movie. Zach, we'll start with you.
Salt and IMAX. Actually went to early fan of it. It was like that Thursday before 2:00 showing. I'm gonna say it's stunning. I thought it was. We'll get into it, but I think it's a great Mission Impossible movie. It's debatable whether it's a good series finale. So,
I'll go next, and I'll say heartwarming.
Greg?
Puzzle.
Okay. That's a good.
If we're doing one word, I can elaborate later, but puzzle.
There you go. Jay?
Overstuffed.
Overstuffed. So we are talking about Mission Impossible. It's in theaters right now. It's in its second week. Go check it out. We're at 28 minutes into the episode. If you guys have not seen it or don't want to get spoiled, put us on pause or go listen to it and then head back. Let's get on. It's our final mission. Final Reckoning. I gotta say, this movie is loud. It's stunning. It looks great. The acting is great. The action is great. The pace of the film is probably a little too girthy on my end. That's probably the only thing I had any kind of like negatives about, is that it is it felt like an all-day event. But I mean, if that's the only thing I can kind of nitpick is just the time, I think it's a pretty good Mission Impossible movie.
I'm gonna cut in before everybody else gets in and see if they agree with me or disagree with me. I think the characters Ethan Hunt and some of the other characters done stupid things in the movies that they normally wouldn't do during the entire series. And I'll give a particular scene in particular. Whenever they're getting ready, whenever Tom Cruise's Ethan Hunt is going to the ball in London and he's trying to find Gabriel, why doesn't he dress up? Everybody knows that we all know they're looking for Ethan Hunt, and he goes as Ethan Hunt instead of somebody else. Why doesn't he use the Mission Impossible tech to become somebody else so he's not recognized? I think the characters in this movie make dumb decisions sometimes.
Interesting.
I will say it's already 2.5 hours. 250 is
It's
what the
248.
runtime is. These could have been creator choices just to limit the time put into the film. Because if he shows up random, I mean, he could have just showed up randomly with, some stuff on, but you wouldn't have been able to know it was him and following him. And
We could. All we had to do was sit there and go, Ethan. We had to have him touch his ear with an earpiece in with the face mask on, going, Ethan, do you have it? We would have known instantly.
See,
I'm just saying throughout the movie, there's probably some choices that they made.
That scene right there was just there to introduce Haley Atwell.
Which is fine with me. I'm not paying attention to Ethan at that point.
yeah. I
It was a stupid decision.
I also feel like it feels like real life scenarios where if this much is on the line, we're talking about the end of the world, atomic bombs going off. I think it would set everybody in a mood and in a pace that they're not familiar with. So I think it was good to see Ethan a little bit more discombobulated in this movie, and he was a little bit more sloppy as an agent in this movie. So was Simon Pegg's character. So was a lot of other people. And I think that's it felt realism to me because of the mass scenario of everything going on in the movie.
They didn't have time to actually plan it.
Yeah.
See that there's one scene where I was where Haley Atwell, it was just after the scene we just talked about, where Haley Atwell and Tom Cruise wake up after they've been stunned, they've been captured, they're all chained up and everything, and she like barely wakes him up. He's like barely knows where the hell he's at. And she's like, what did we do? And he's basically like, well, they took my watch and they took my cufflinks. I really don't know. But in all honesty, he did have a plan. I thought that was clever.
No.
There's certain cleverness to this movie. The cinematography is great. The film is shot beautifully. Whenever they're in the submarine and he's trying to get to the main machine and he keeps rolling and the water keeps shifting, that's gorgeous. But I just think that the movie, for one, is overstuffed. It's overlong, and it tries to go for nostalgia that, as a series, doesn't need.
I mean, in the sense of the final reckoning, if this is truly the final movie, I think they did a really good job of letting people know, hey, you don't have to go back and watch the final 7 movies to keep up. Let's try to spend 25. And I thought about this after the movie, and I was like, technically, if you take out the flashback scenes and the dedication scenes, this movie is about 215, 220.
Agreed.
So I think they do a very good job about making sure everybody can go see this movie, even if you're not a Mission Impossible fan, because it is the final reckoning. And nowadays, other than maybe stories like Top Gun, why do we go see a Mission Impossible movie on the biggest screen possible? It's not because we want to see a tall-taled, very collaborative story of Ethan Hunt. We want to see Tom Cruise in all his glory, and we want to see him do his stunts on the biggest screen possible with the biggest budget. And we sit back and we're like, man, that is what an action movie should be based around.
But I also
not CGI and not a not a big green screen and not $30 million oversized actors, not big time superheroes, which is fine here and there. But Tom Cruise always delivers, and this goes back
the
to
Mission Impossible series has always been an intrigue and mystery story series. It's always
this goes
realistic.
This goes all the way back to Top Gun Maverick. I feel like ever since that movie came out, he has just been on a ramp. He's been on a roll, but a rampage to deliver everybody with
the best.
Nothing but the best. And I think
too much of this. I just thought there was just too much story to this movie per se, and there was just too much. They try to make the stakes high, and I didn't feel the stakes were high enough. Like I just didn't like it. It just felt like they were trying to overcompensate with trying to string everything together. Like, Ethan, everything you've ever done has led to this moment. And in my mind, I'm just like, yeah, I laughed. And there was a couple times I looked at you and kind of laughed. And you didn't understand why I was laughing, but I could tell you here now is because I thought it was convoluted. Like, oh, they're trying to connect the series in a way that naturalistically doesn't feel correct. I just thought they were just trying to connect. And
I do see a fact, and you guys can kind of, I don't know if you guys agree or not, but I kind of agree to a point where I don't think they had to go all the way back to the first one and kind of connect some things that we haven't even thought about in 20 years, which, but I do think they did a good job of making sure, hey, this is Ethan versus the entity, and this has been going on now for like 3 movies, because I believe it started in the Henry Cavill movie, right?
no, I think it started at Rogue
Dead
Nation, which
Reckoning.
was the 4th one.
Well, really, to be honest,
Technically, it's the Rabbit's
they
Foot. Mission
retcon
Impossible
it back
3.
to the 3rd one.
Well,
The
third one
Rabbit's Foot
because
in the
of
3rd one, and they say
the
that's
Philip
actually
Seymour
the
Hoffman's
start
character.
of it.
Yes.
So
for 5 films now, we've been following the Syndicate, the Entity, and we have followed Philip Seymour Hoffman's character, and they all led to here. And I honestly, I don't think this is the last Mission Impossible. I honestly don't. They left it open-ended too much for me.
Me personally, I think it was clever how they did try to go back and incorporate all the movies to it, because then you're sitting back like, okay, so the Rabbit's Foot is
important.
It's in some way, shape, or form. It's not just some solo mission. I enjoyed how they tried to tie it all together, whether or not it was meant to or not.
Well, and to me, I know probably people probably thought this was cliche or kind of not cringe, but just kind of like, do we need to do this? The whole opening of the president telling Ethan that this is his most important mission, and they do like a big, kind of like a homage to the last couple, to all the whole franchise, and they show all like the greatest hits of the Mission Impossible movies. I thought that was awesome, to be honest. I think it reminded us as an audience, just like, okay, this is why we love this series.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you, Zach.
Go ahead, Jay.
Go ahead. No, you speak. Go.
No, I was just gonna say, I think that opening sequence reminded us as an audience of why we like this series. It's action filled, it's incredible stunts, it's Tom Cruise, like you said, giving his all just to entertain us. Like, that's his, like, you watch him on talk shows, is like, we make these movies for you guys, and it shows. It really does show.
One of my biggest complaints with this movie, and we can discuss this as we go along, but one of my biggest complaints with this movie is this is the 8th movie in the franchise, and we've been through some spectacular stunts and some spectacular, set pieces, and most of this, like the underwater sequence, I had a problem with, because knowing about how pressure worked with the human body and how things work, I couldn't displace disbelief there. But all the other films in the series, I can take my suspension of disbelief, and I can go, okay, I can get behind that. But there were numerous moments in this movie where I was like, no, that's not how that works at all. He would have died by now. This would have happened. This would have happened. That would have happened. And I'm like,
well,
I know he's a super spy and all like that, and I like that. But even a super spy can't sit there and, be underwater in the Bering Sea.
They're not superhuman.
Exactly. We're not dealing with Steve Rogers here. We're dealing with regular person Ethan Hunt.
I felt the same whenever he left the submarine. Regardless, him going by the submarines after he left it with the propellers and everything was phenomenal. You actually felt like he was, because you look at propellers when they're kind of stationed above before they go into the water, and you're like, man, those are pretty big. But you felt like there was, like, you just felt them.
There was danger. Yeah.
And just the way that he went by them, and
how he used the water current, I thought was very clever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I know he does all of his own stunts, but I wonder if that was done in like a preset pool.
It was.
And
there's no way you can do that.
But I also want to know, like, I wonder if he was like, you know what, the water's supposed to be frigid. I want the water to be frigid as well. You know what I mean? Like
I think this is just Tom Cruise acting, just so that way they can have a longer day. Because if they went with cold water, bro, they would have had like 1 or 2 takes. That would have been the end of the day, and Tom Cruise would have been done.
Yeah.
I mean, could have some of his scenes, some of his stunts I've heard have like lasted 3, 4, 5, 6 days.
He's had like this. I think this one really put the pressure on his body this time around. Like I think I read somewhere like he had some breathing problems after doing the underwater sequence on this one
because
Yeah.
of the decompression. I'm still waiting for him. I don't know who the director is, but this has been in the news for the past 6 or 7 years that Tom Cruise cannot wait to take IMAX cameras in space and film a movie.
I'm surprised they didn't do it with this franchise, to be honest.
You just got to go to Fast and Furious.
Well, yeah, you have to have a car that's taped up with duct tape to get to space, right?
Yeah.
Well, there is news that he wants to do like 3 or 4 more
Aerial shots or something like that. Aerial sequences.
no 3 or 4 more
Top Gun.
Top Gun movies.
Which, okay, so
Technically, they've already been to space in Top Gun.
True.
yeah, that is true. Actually, yeah.
I haven't seen the second Top Gun, so I can't comment.
You haven't seen Top Gun Maverick yet?
No, I have not.
Oh, that's a good one.
My thought about that is like I think you had like a really great story with the second one. I'm just afraid that we're going to be. I know the movie made like something ungodly, $1.4 billion or something, but you really don't need to do a third one. I think at that point you're cashing in. I know if they do a third one, it will make money, but I don't think it'll have like
It'll end up becoming Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
But what you can say, at least with Tom Cruise, is he won't do and continue to do a franchise set unless it's worth it. Yeah.
Okay, let's sit there and ask. Let's ask this question, and I might be the only one thinking this, and I thought this while watching the movie, and I sat there and thought about Tom Cruise's career. Most of his movies have been action oriented, or he played a side character early in his career, or it was a very safe role for him. What if we're now getting into the point where Tom Cruise is going for that Academy Gold, where he's just going to start playing these just oddball, eccentric characters? He got all this, he got all this other stuff out of his system, and now we're going to see a different Tom Cruise now after this.
He's already done that role.
Possible? I get that he did it in Tropic Thunder, but
that's where I was going.
Do you think we're going to get more Tropic Thunder Tom Cruise now? Or we're going to get I'll say this. Are we going to get a Tropic Thunder and Stanley Kubrick Tom Cruise and Neil Jordan Tom Cruise because he played Lestat very seriously? Or are we going to get more action-oriented roles like Jack Reacher and more Mission Impossibles after this? He
wants to do a Les Grossman movie. Like, he's talked about that.
I could see a Les Grossman movie. That would be actually incredible.
I think he has, I'm going to say 3 big stunt movies left in him. But I think after that, I think after or in between, he's going to just kind of, he's going to coast, but he's going to be very careful with what he picks up to do. Yeah, I don't think he's just going to do any movie and call it a day.
Yeah. I will say this. He did look in his 60s in this movie.
He did look old.
Yeah,
everybody did.
You talk facial wise, he did.
Yeah.
When he had that scene where he had his shirt off, I'm like, damn, that dude still looks like he's 20 years old.
But looking at his
Johnny's popcorn started shaking.
Yeah.
but looking at his physique, I could sit there and tell by watching wrestling enough that was an old man's physique just by how much it drooped.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another thing that pissed me off in the movie was the sexual tension between him and Haley Atwell. They so wanted to F. Don't even give me that they didn't.
Well, I mean,
that's why Captain America went back in time.
Right? I even looked at Juan during one of the points. I was like, boobs in IMAX, because she's like stroking his chin, and there's just a huge close up of her boobs. I was like, boobs in IMAX, and he just laughs at me.
She was giving him CPR.
There was a point in time
what
though,
did
that
they
I thought,
focus? But what did they focus on? Not her giving him CPR, her chest, and that's what made me laugh.
I didn't laugh.
I did.
There was at one point that I thought that she was gonna turn
Why do you
on him.
keep disappearing?
Me?
Yeah.
That's that Phase 4 CGI.
Yeah. Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just this
We have
background.
Craig the Invisible Man. He just shows up when he wants to.
Yeah.
Zach,
But no,
what's
I really
something?
wondered why the sexual tension was there. I don't know if that was just me.
But also, kudos to them for not feeling like they had to go that route and show anything to that degree.
I will say this. I'll quote Juan from earlier after we watched the movie. He was expecting a sex scene between them. I think even he was expecting something between the two of them because he was like, I was kind of shocked that there was no sex, anything that pertained to sex in this movie.
That would have pushed it over the 3-hour mark.
I would have been okay if they would have showed. Hey, I would have been okay with a little extra runtime if it was Haley Atwell and her boobs. Okay.
If it was Johnny, it would have been 2 hours, 50 minutes, and 30 seconds.
Hey, I said that when I got out, and you guys can Zach, I want to get your opinion on this because you love the Mission Impossible series. Like you go see every single one. You're early, but like I really thought this movie could have been trimmed down after my first view. I haven't seen it again, but I think once I see it a second time, now knowing the highlights and paying the homages, paying the homage to everything in behind, I'm like, okay, the 249 doesn't bother me. How was the length for you?
Honestly, the length didn't bother me. My only thing was like I just started hearing like the early buzz and said, it's not a great series. It's not a great finale for this franchise. It's too overbloated. It's too long. And to me, I think and like you said, I've only seen it on one viewing. Maybe on the second viewing, I'll get kind of irritated by it. But to me, I just thought every hanging thread was paid off. All the callbacks, like I said, we retcon Mission Impossible 3 essentially to say like that's kind of the start of all this.
The biological weapon they were after is actually a computer virus.
Yes, it worked for me, and even the big again we're 47 minutes in. We got spoilers. Even Jasper Briggs, the Shea Wyndham character, turned out to be Phelps' son from John Voight's son.
I thought that was unneeded.
I thought that was a really cool twist. I
thought that was unneeded.
I feel like it's unneeded as well, but I mean they threw it in, they made it work. It's not.
Yeah,
you can ask Juan at the very end when Homeboy walks up to Ethan holding the gun and pointing at him. I straight looked at Juan and started busting out laughing loudly in the middle of the IMAX theater, and he just looked at me and was like, "Why are you laughing?" He just gave me that look like, and then they did the homie hookup love hug, and I'm like, "Oh, come on." And I laughed even harder. I was like, what the hell is this?
Let me ask you something, Jay. Did you not like this movie?
Do you want my I'll give you
it's fine.
I'll give you my rating right now. I give this movie a 3 out of 5. I thought it was one of the second worst Mission Impossible movies out there because the characters made a lot of dumb decisions. The finality wasn't what I thought it should be. It was overbloated. There was too much stuff that they could have cut out. And there was just too much nostalgia bait in the movie. Did I like it though? I did like it to a point because of where I did like the way it looked. I did like some of the action scenes. I did like certain aspects of the movie, but most of it I just didn't care for. And I love
Dazed and Confused.
And I love Mission Impossible movies. Seriously, I love the Mission Impossible series. I've been a fan since 1996. I wanted to sit there and look over at Juan and be like, look at that, bro. They said May 22nd, 1996. Do you know what that means? That's the date that the original movie came out.
You know, it's interesting. You could go all the way back in the archives. I think we talked about this maybe last year. I think, Craig, you were on the episode when we talked Dead Reckoning Part 1.
I was on.
the exact same way Jay felt for this movie. If you guys don't remember, I felt for Dead Reckoning Part 1. I was like, man, I don't think it needs to be 245. It felt, you don't, but I'm like the opposite with the second one. I feel like it ties in well. And I said it on last year's episode. I'm like, now I wonder if this movie is going to be a better watch next year after Part 2 comes out.
I rewatched all the films. I was talking about it over the last couple episodes, and I will say Dead Reckoning is a lot better watch, like a couple years removed, and it makes a lot more sense with the Final Reckoning.
But
my favorite one still is Rogue Nation. And the one
Craig just disappears into the abyss.
No, I'm here.
Yeah. Craig just vanishes. He's done talking.
I'm done. I was going to say, there are some movies where you sit there and you watch and you're like, man, this movie, and we've talked about this before, the movie could be an hour 45 minutes. You're like, man, this movie feels like it's a long time.
Yeah.
I was in a hot theater with no AC.
Oh Lord.
They refunded everything for me, but they were like, if you want to go back in there and sit through it. I showed up at 9:15. Well, I was there at 9 to Quail Springs Mall, 30-minute drive. Projector not working, theater hot, sat through a hot theater, and it didn't feel like 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
to me, regardless of how long a movie actually is, if it tells a story in the way that these last two Mission Impossible movies have told the stories, there's something different about it. It doesn't feel like it's just a movie. It doesn't feel like it's just some story that they're trying to throw out there. It feels like you were actually a part of a bigger picture. And I thoroughly enjoyed that about this movie.
I will say this is Jay. I will say this, that once it comes out on Blu-ray or streaming, I will sit there, watch both back to back, and see if they make a better one movie than a two-part movie.
Yeah.
And as far as I'm concerned, they do not make a good two-part movie because they're too over long.
Well, at this point, I'm going to go back and rewatch the entirety of it.
I did that a couple weeks ago.
Seeing that they added in, the retcon of Mission Impossible 3 and just trying to tie in, if it's bad or not, we'll see how I feel after it. But in the moment, I felt like you had an idea that they were telling a larger story with these movies. That's why I said puzzle. And you feel like you had a bigger picture. And then in the last movie, this movie, they're adding little more pieces to the puzzle. And you're just like, wow, it's actually completing a much bigger puzzle than I had initially imagined. I thought that was pretty cool.
I just thought there was too much what do they call it? Deus Ex Machinas to the situation, where Haley Atwell's character is so proficient at being a thief that she's able to time it well and pull the memory card off the port before the entity realizes that it's in a prison. There was just too much Deus Ex Machinas in this movie.
What were you going to say, Zach?
I was going to say, what's funny enough, I was looking at the time lengths of both of these movies. Dead Reckoning Part 1 is 2 hours and 43 minutes, and Final Reckoning is 2 hours and 50 minutes. So there's only like a 7-minute difference between them, honestly.
You know what also sucks is like I did not get to see Dead Reckoning Part 1 in the theater.
I haven't seen any of them besides this one in theaters.
And
I
saw
it in the Dolby, both of them. And I asked Mallory, I was like, do you want to go to this movie? She's like, it's with Tom Cruise. I was like, bye. I'm going. I don't care. Your answer does not phase what I'm doing. I'm
not going to stop if you don't want to go see it.
Your decision does not stop me from going to
I was like, I got my ticket Friday at 9:15. That's the only time it's in the Dolby. Are you going or not? She's like, no.
Well, Juan messaged me with the share a ticket link, share a seat link, and I was like, he's like, Tuesday, 11:30. We're going to see Mission Impossible. I'm like, IMAX. I'm like, okay, let's do this. And great seeing it in IMAX because that's the best format you could see it in. But again, like I said, it was just there. it could have been trimmed by at least 15 minutes. There was just
Yeah.
too much
I agree. There was
and too much. What do they call them?
fan
Reaction
service.
shots.
Yeah.
I have a little rant. I have a little rant before we get into some favorite scenes. So the other day I went and seen Final Destination. Started at 11 or 10.
Oh, I know.
10 hold on a second, Zach. Started at 10:30.
Yep.
The opening scene did not start until 11:10.
I know.
Yeah,
I was going to sit there and
bad.
say,
40?
I looked at my watch and say it said 11:17.
40 minutes of previews and 40 minutes of not even previews, just commercials. So the commercials start whenever it says the movie starts, and then 20 minutes later the previews start. But today at the IMAX, you strictly only got 15 minutes of previews, IMAX only previews, which is okay, and then the movie started.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
did the movie start basically at 11:30 like it was supposed to?
no. So
Okay, sorry.
So we three, me, Jay, and Zach, Regal, Craig. Lately, you've been going to the Dolby.
That's ending soon.
Is it the same thing at AMC?
So I can't remember. More recently, I can't remember. At the Dolby, like I said, the projector was kind of already messed up, and so it started pretty quickly. I think they skipped all trailers. But when we went and saw Lilo and Stitch at Penn, it was like a 2:30 movie, and I look at my watch and it's like 3:05, and I was like, God, I'm already here for Lilo and Stitch. Let's go.
So you said it's ending soon. What is ending soon? And for what theater or for all?
AMC.
Okay.
You're quitting the Stubbs thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to Regal.
Regal's amazing.
I enjoy AMC because of the Dolby Theater. I think it's the best theater, hands down. But it's a further drive. It's the second time in as many years that the AC has been completely out. I think the seats. I mean, obviously Regal has kind of director seats, the lounge chairs.
Mm-hmm.
So I know I like AMC. I like my Dolby, but from their response in the email, if this ever gets to them, you goofed. I'm out.
And so when I had AMC Stubbs, you could only see, I think, 3 or 4 movies a week, right?
It's up to 4 movies a week, and they up the price.
So Jay just saw 5 movies in one day.
I could do that too.
I started at 10:30 in the morning, and I could have Juan sat there and said, Jay, do you want to see Sinners at 10:30?
Yeah.
I could have bought a 10:30 seat for Sinners for my 4th time. I fell asleep for it 3 times already, but I could have bought a ticket for my 4th time to go see Sinners at 10:30 if I wanted to. Because
but I will say
unlimited don't mean you can't say unlimited if
right.
you put a limit.
I will say though, you also can't charge monthly and then turn around and say you can see any movie you want, but IMAX is $1.50 more.
Yeah, well, see, that's the one
I'm
thing
already
I hate
paying a
about the
monthly
Regal
fee.
Pass.
Yeah,
that's the one thing I hate about the Regal Pass is that with the 3D with the IMAX viewing, it's what $525, and with the 4DX, it's $11.50.
Even with the pass.
Yeah,
even with the pass.
Oh, that might change.
Because Zach and me
AMC.
were going to go see Ballerina together, and once he sat there and told me he was going to go see it in 4DX, I was like, I'm sorry, I don't have the extra money. I'll see it some other time.
Well, so yeah,
We'll see it this weekend. I know.
Yeah, same. I do have the 4DX thing doesn't bother me, so I'm never going to pay the extra $11 to go see that.
I want to experience it.
I do too.
But I will say, like, and the IMAX thing also kind of the extra $5 is okay, but I'm also like, I'll do that on
IMAX though.
I'll do that on certain movies. But the thing I really enjoy about the unlimited is like Jay said, 5 a day or more, and then when you go upstairs and you sit in that director's suite where the ticket is already supposed to be
$22.50.
where the ticket is supposed to be already $24, and then it's completely like free, no kids, no nothing like that
That's
around
nice.
you.
The director suite is free.
Yes.
The director
Yeah.
suite
I'm
is
sold.
included
Yeah.
in the unlimited.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, before we go any further,
So director's suite
Jay,
is-
Juan, and Zach have an unlimited pass to Regal, which in Oklahoma means we get.
Hold
to go
on,
to
we
any
don't
Regal
we don't
Suite
we
cinema.
don't we don't want to give them that much loving.
I'm just sitting there saying we get to go to any Regal cinema we want to in Oklahoma, and our preferred choice is the Warren, and the Warren is a beautiful theater in Oklahoma City. It's one of the best. It's actually in Moore.
They actually have
But
AC.
Exactly, and when we go, we get it's $28 for 1 month. That's tax included. Whereas we can go see
Whoa,
one
20,
IMAX.
whoa, 28.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like
tax
20. It's like
included. No,
23
it's
or
like
something like that.
$28 with that. Well, my last time was $28. I'm not gonna lie.
You must have
You
signed
must
up.
have the one with the extended states.
Yeah, you can.
Something.
Yeah, you can go to the extended
was
states.
Mine was $28 the last time I was asked if I want to reapprove for the Regal Cinema. And they charged me $28. But that also means that, like I said, I went and seen 5 movies in one day. 2 of those were on the Grand Auditorium screens at the Warren, and whenever they show them at the Grand Auditorium screens, they charge extra.
How
If they
many?
show 'em
How
2
many
of 'em.
movies? How many movies?
I've
5?
seen 5 for my $28 pass.
To
And
be
then I've
fair-
seen Mission Impossible today, so 6.
To be fair, I couldn't sit through 5 movies, so
Oh, bro, I had a blast.
I could.
Hey, you know what I don't appreciate though about I don't appreciate their
You
hot
couldn't do it
dog.
with me.
Their hot dogs.
The
They're
hot
hot
do-
dog.
Their
I
hot
do like
dogs.
that there's a full blown like restaurant there that you can get food though.
Their hot dogs and all that.
Yeah, Johnny knows his wieners.
No, yeah, he loves his wieners.
I highly recommend The Sopranos. Go check it out.
What does that have to do with wieners?
Go watch it.
Oh, okay. But no, I don't know how many times just going to the theater in the past couple of days I've seen like the Fantastic Four trailer. I've probably seen it like 6 or 8 times.
I'm so done with that trailer.
I'm gonna just start going 30 minutes late, especially now that there's assigned seating.
Yeah.
Oh, but see,
So-
I didn't grow up with that. I had to show up an hour early to get the seat that I wanted. I had to be first in line growing up to get that seat that I wanted.
I'm glad
Do you guys
times
have
changed.
waived online fees with the Regal Pass?
The only online fees you have is if you want to secure your seat. Credit card wise, it's 54 cents unless you want to go to the theater and scan the ticket and it's free. And I usually just sit there so that way they don't lose my ticket. I'll pay the 54 cents. I don't give it. I don't care.
Let's start off with favorite scene. Zach?
I'm gonna go with. I have a couple. I'm gonna go with the opening greatest hits of Mission Impossible montage. I thought that was awesome. I really like at the character moment where he's talking to the president and says, "I need you." It's in the trailer. I need you to trust me one last time. I thought it built like a lot of suspense and just overall just dread of if Ethan doesn't pull this off, we're all technically going to be destroyed by Terminators, essentially. And then obviously the big two stunt pieces with the submarine and then the biplanes at the end. I thought that was obviously why you go see these movies.
Zach, the scene where you sit there and said that you liked the scene with him and the president. The one thing that I liked about that scene was that for most of the scene, she is called Mrs. President or Madam President by most people. And then when Ethan talks to her, what does he do? He calls her by her first name.
Yep.
And I was like, oh
That's
my
true.
gosh, that's a beautiful,
He's got
beautiful
boss
detail.
status. Yep.
It's like, look, I've known you for so long since you've been a part of the CIA. You know me.
What about you, Jay?
One of my, I have a couple as well. One of my favorite scenes. I have a small problem with the suspension of disbelief because of the pressure system, but I do love when he's in the submarine during the middle of the movie and he's trying to get to the original code, and the submarine keeps shifted on him because it's on uneven land, and the water, how the water looks. You know what I mean by how like water's off to the side to him, but he's standing up straight, or the water's above him and he's standing up below it, and then the
water moves with the submarine, and it kind of
it gave me Inception hallway vibes.
Exactly. I love that. And then another scene that I completely loved was just the entire airplane sequence. I thought because I seen it on IMAX, and I do have some problems with believability with a certain plane hitting another plane and only causing damage to one plane and not the other. But I'm more than willing to give it a benefit of the doubt. But I thought those scenes were beautifully shot. I thought, you
didn't like Gabriel getting his skull split in half as he jumped out the plane?
That really didn't matter to me. It was more of a they were on a random goose chase, and they just so happened to find each other. And whenever Gabriel damaged Tom Cruise's ship or plane, it only caused damage to Tom Cruise's ship, but not Gabriel's. It was like, come on, there would be damage to both planes. And you know what I mean? I lost some believability factor in certain scenes.
Yeah,
those are the two main scenes that I really enjoyed. But then there was also another one where I thought that Haley Atwell and Tom Cruise were going to make out because he kept touching her face and they kept having glaring eyes towards each other, and nothing happened.
I do find it funny that throughout these films, like he's dedicated in the third one, he's dedicated to Michelle Monaghan, and then he goes to Rebecca Ferguson, and then he jumps to Haley Atwell by the end of the series.
Rebecca Ferguson, if you remember, she forces herself onto him because she wanted to know what a real man tasted.
But I mean, like, they build that bond, and then they kill her off in Reckoning.
Well, it's just taking the Bond DNA for films and trying to add a new side piece for them. Yeah.
Craig, what about you? Any favorite scenes?
Yeah, I enjoyed the tension in the president's room, the war room, I guess is what they would call it. I enjoyed that scene. Enjoyed the submarine scene just as everybody else probably did. I enjoyed the scenes getting into the submarine or the sunken submarine almost as much, if not more, than the actual submarine itself. I enjoyed the scene where he gets into the controller of the entity, and he's kind of, it's like, I can show you anything you want, or I can take anything from you.
The mask thing?
The mask.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. I liked how he wasn't sure what was reality and what wasn't, just because of how real it was whenever he put the mask on. Whenever he fell out.
I agree with you. When he comes out, he's like, "Is this real? Is this real? Are you real?"
And it just shows like just how in control that mask was, just being a machine. Like, that's just giving you a small taste of what it could do to you mentally or physically moving forward.
And not only that, it changed your perception because of how realistic those predictions and whatever you want to call them,
just everything.
Yeah,
and it technically it's just probabilities. That's all it's really basing it on. But it's like, in real time, I can make these things happen just based on calculations that I have to do in algorithm to make things work and do this. I thought that was cool.
That's how now basic AI works. Is it takes an algorithm and it searches that algorithm, and it sits there and tries to make a discernible map of what you're discussing. Yeah, and that's exactly what we got with this.
Yeah, and I like how throughout the movie he's trying to tell him, like, hey, this is what it thinks. It never would in a million years think that we would work together and do this. So I kind of liked how that was a wrinkle in the movie. And then
always trying to outsmart the AI.
Yeah.
What would we do differently that would happen?
Yeah, like I said, I just think it's a good wrinkle for that to be in the movie.
How can we sit there and subvert the AI's anticipation?
Right. And then a small little wrinkle, the guy that was in the computer room in the first movie drops a knife. Yeah. He has the knife for 25 years, and Ethan thinks that he needs to apologize. He's like, I ruined your life. And he's like, no, you actually did something for me. I think it's just a small little tidbit of don't ever be afraid to reach out or apologize to somebody thinking that you messed up, because you never know what it could have done to them in the long run. It could have been for the best. So I think it's just like a small little tidbit that they threw in there to maybe, if you catch it, you can. If not,
It's
whatever.
to give
It's
Ethan a little bit of satisfaction for the work that he's done.
Right.
Well, and it's a great callback too.
That as well. It's the way to give Ethan gratification for doing a job that he thought was a failure and thought was that just nothing but a narcissistic attempt for him to, capture John Voight's character. But in the long, like I said, this movie goes back.
If I had to, I'll go through mine real quick. If I had to pick some favorite scenes, I thought there would be a little bit more casualties, supposedly being the final reckoning, but I enjoyed Luther's death. I thought just connecting the dots. I'm like, man,
it's just like
I kind of felt like
has to go.
I kind of felt like
okay.
Oh, that's where we're going from there. Never mind. I felt like not only did somebody important have to go, but like I felt like more casualties had to go. Still, you didn't even know Simon Pegg. He kind of just like whimpered down.
I agree with you there. I thought
it kind of felt the camera never went back to him, so we still kind of don't know. Or no, it did. He gave him a hug. You're right.
We saw him at the end walking at the plaza.
So I kind of felt like
nobody ever gave a hug. They just gave each other a head nod of acknowledgement that
I kind of felt
alive.
So I kind of felt like there should have been more. I kind of felt like there should have been more casualties, but I enjoyed the Luther's death, the submarine scenes being underneath water, stunning. The airplane scene, like we talked about, his not only his way of doing the stunt looked amazing, but also just the way he was able to maneuver his body as the airplane was shifting and flipping. Yeah. And then the parachute sequences was phenomenal. So, star rating, Zach.
I'm gonna give it a 4, man. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I think it is a great series finale. If Tom gives this up and goes on to do something else, I think it's a great ending. Performances, I think the emotional weight is there. The action sequences, obviously, and just the overarching. I think this was a great send off and a reminder, like I said, of why we like these movies.
So earlier you did kind of say you kind of had an issue if it was going to be the final. What would the issue be?
No, I'm just saying I think it's a great. I was going to ask you guys. I think it's a great Mission Impossible movie, but judging by what you guys say and kind of like the critics and everything, do you think it's a good series finale for this franchise?
I think the story leading up to what they ultimately wanted, being the entity, tied in well. I think the movie as a whole kind of fell short of being a grand finale, but I still think overall it's a good film.
It's fair. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 4. What about you guys?
I'm right there with you. I'm gonna give it a 4 as well. Had some really good aspects. I agree with Jay. There are some spots where you're kind of sitting there like, specifically when he takes the suit off in the submarine, you're down that far, your body's not going to be able to withstand it. That's why they made the suit for you to go down. You're able to kind of adjust as you go up, but taking the suit off immediately down to the submarine, scientifically, I believe you're not even going to be able to remotely be able to function to leave that submarine. So there are some things that I disliked here and there, but overall, good and bad, take it how you want it.
Jay?
I'm going to give it a 3, just based on things that Craig just said about how the suspension of disbelief in certain scenes were very hard to accomplish. I thought the first half of the movie dragged too long, that they tried to give us too much recap, where if they would have just gave us a small, brief recap, it would have been a lot better. I thought that some of the character development was not the correct way to go. I thought after seeing all 8 movies, the way that some of the characters' decisions were not made based on how the previous 7 movies went. There was I don't see this as a fitting finale just based on how they ended the movie. They left it very open-ended that there could be another one. And if you missed it, then you're blind. Just because they all looked at each other like, oh, we're reminiscent, like, oh, we finally did it. That doesn't mean a thing. But I give it a 3.
I think this is going to be. Oh,
In my
hello?
opinion, they almost looked at each other like it's not farewell, it's see you soon. Type
See you
vibe.
later. See you later. Exactly. That's what I thought. See you in the next adventure.
I think I'm going to give this one a 4.5. I really did like this movie a lot. It didn't feel like a final reckoning. Like I said, there was not enough casualties. And even though the stakes were high, like Jay said earlier, I'll agree with, it didn't feel high enough sometimes because more lives weren't at stake. Well, technically, billions of lives were at stake, but
the core members,
the core members, yeah.
One part that I want to agree with you with, when the bomb in the cave had all of the stuff kind of working on it, and they're able to somehow figure out how to stop it, but Luther couldn't.
Yeah.
Or delay it. I guess Luther was screwed either way because he was locked in, but they're able to figure out a way.
That sequence was that there was more stuff attached to it than Luther could comprehend. And since there were 2 people at the end, they could comprehend it better than Luther could.
But I mean, some Eskimo lady living on an island for 40 years isn't going to know.
But the way they sold Luther for the past 7 movies was
Ohana means family.
But the way they sold Luther for the past 7 movies, that he couldn't be compared to anybody else.
Right.
Am I right or wrong?
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Why couldn't he figure out something like that?
Because we needed a casualty. We needed a reason for a threat. We needed a reason for a rush to finality.
Okay, Johnny, I got 2 other things real quick. One, I kind of think, and I don't know if you guys would agree with me, after when Ethan falls from the plane, I kind of thought, I think it would have been appropriate to, he stops the entity, but they kind of do a Dark Knight Rises thing, and you don't know whether he lived or died until the very end. Do you think that would have been good?
No. See, that's what I thought was going to happen. I thought the parachute was going to come crashing down, and then they were just going to find the parachute and then the box of everything being done, and then Ethan would be gone.
Yeah,
that's what I thought was going to happen, honestly, because it hinted a lot of that. There was a lot of,
or they do No Time to Die, and it's like his final, like you said, his final mission.
Well, see, even No Time to Die, you still didn't get the concept of is he really dead? Spoiler alert if you haven't seen No Time to Die, but I would have liked to see them play with one of those 2.
Yeah.
My
Not the
thing
happy-go-lucky ending.
Yeah.
My thing is that they wanted to go into the definitive ending, but somewhere along the way they had to go for a crowd-pleasing ending. Does that make sense?
Well, they also I think they also left it open in case Tom wanted to come back. We could
in case the box office was good, Tom wanted to come back. It has not been. It's only made $122 million. In America.
No, dude, it has one of the biggest opening in the franchise history.
Does it?
Yeah, but second week, Zach, it's fallen off.
Oh,
it's
huge.
It's
that's
only
because Lilo and Stitch came out. Shut up.
That's true.
Lilo and Stitch and Mission Impossible came out the same weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like they could have had both. They could have had it where he fell down and still wasn't with the parachute, and you don't know what happens. And then you're able to go back and see him in the plaza with everybody else. There's your happy ending. Not the one with John Voight's son. I can't remember his name in the movies, but I feel like that was wasted. And you could have had it where he just appeared in a plaza with them around him as a surprise and as the send off.
Yeah. And then I actually did rank. I'm going to rank the movies real quick, just in my opinion. If you guys think different, you're welcome to chime in. Just starting from bottom to top, I'm going to do Mission Impossible 2, Mission Impossible, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. Number 5, ironically, Rogue Nation. Number 4, The Final Reckoning. Number 3, Dead Reckoning Part 1. Number 2, Mission Impossible 3. And then the number 1 for me still to this day is Mission Impossible Fallout. That's my favorite one.
I'm not
Is Fallout the one with Henry Cavill?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna rank them real quick, but I will say Fallout's my favorite.
Yeah, I agree as well. I honestly didn't feel this was a definitive goodbye. I felt this was a definitive maybe. Does that make
We'll
sense?
put it in the back pocket if we need it.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those, if things go right, we'll continue on. And here's the thing that none of us have talked about, was that this was a TV show in the 1970s that ran for 5 years.
Oh, yeah. And the fact that, I think it actually ran in the 60s and,
70s.
Well,
maybe the 60s.
50 years later, this franchise is still relevant. It's pretty impressive. And I think, most of the credit has got to go to Tom Cruise.
It does. And Chris McQuarrie as well, because Chris McQuarrie has been a part of the franchise since part 4.
So.
This is true. What a movie, guys. Go check it out. Everybody, even a 3 with Jay, that's still watchable. So everybody go give it go check it out. 4.5, 4.5 for me. Zach gave it a 4. Craig gave it a 4. Summer's just kicking off. Zach, what are we doing next week?
Next week we are talking about. I got it right here. We're talking about Dazed and Confused.
It's a Bacana sauce. It continues.
All
right.
Zach, what about after that?
After that, June 17th, we're talking about the 30th anniversary of Batman Forever. And then we end the month of June 24th, with 28 Years Later, the new theatrical release.
Woo!
So
and July is even more smoking.
Super excited about the rest of the month. The next week is going to be fun. McConaughey's first on silver screen role. So, can't wait. Next week, Dazed and Confused. So, guys, anything else you want to add before we get out of here and put the final nail in the coffin to Tom Cruise and the Final Reckoning?
I won't say anything for Tom Cruise in the Final Reckoning, but I will say this: if your town or local theater has an unlimited movie pass and it's fairly cheap, hop on that option and go see a lot of movies. Be like us. That's what we do. We buy the pass and we go see our movies, and we enjoy our movies as cheaply as possible.
Craig, join the party.
Exactly. Everybody on our listenings. If you have anywhere that you can join a club at a movie where they give you cheaper movies, because the club that we joined, if a movie comes out that weekend, we can see it that weekend for free. Not for free, but with our unlimited pass. And we earn points towards snacks and different concessions. So that's always a plus.
Craig, it's kind of like the end of Final Reckoning. It's not goodbye. It's see you later.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week, everybody.
Zach, what about you? Anything else you want to add to the episode?
No, go check it out. Go check out Lilo and Stitch. There's a lot of great movies. There's a lot more movies coming out this summer. It's a really packed summer, honestly. So
packed summer. Go check us out. Another new episode next week on the Cine-Men Movie Podcast.
You like that, old man? You want a piece of me?
Do I feel like a